I think it's actually Kevin Pollak probably does the best walking. His was better than Spacey's as far as I'm concerned.
Good evening, Gabe.
Well, hello there, Ian. How's it going?
I guess it could be the morning or the afternoon for our listeners.
It could be. For them, we will just say welcome to Blank as a Fart, whatever time you may be viewing or listening. My name's Gabe. That's my friend Ian over there. And we're watching Twin Peaks. And we are deep, deep, deep into it now. We are in part 11 of The Return. Lots of content back behind us. If you haven't listened to it yet, you probably want to because there's tons of spoilers in this episode. We are available on Spotify, YouTube, iTunes, Audible, pretty much anywhere you enjoy any kind of podcast content. You can find us there. We've got a corner market on the name, Blank as a Fart. We are the only podcast in town by that name. So just Google us and you'll either find us or Twin Peaks content.
But not the only
Either way,
podcast,
it's a win for you.
But not the only podcast with the name fart in it, with the word fart.
No. But we're in the top 10, right? Or the top 23 in
Yes.
Iceland or something?
No, in the world.
Oh,
in America, if you go to iTunes and you type fart, I think we're like the 24th podcast.
but the other ones are all actually about
Yeah,
farts.
Like just fucking. I don't know. I've never actually.
That's
I haven't actually searched it. I should try it. Maybe they're lying to us, or maybe maybe there's a huge rise of fart podcasts. I don't know.
Maybe. I mean, it's a funny word.
Yeah, there you go. I would have gone with shart,
That's why we embraced it.
but
If
I'm going that route, I'm gonna go shart. But I have more shart stories.
Fun fact for her. Thankfully, I don't have many of those. But fun fact for our listeners/viewers, we do encounter a line in this episode that I pitched pretty heavily as the name for our podcast. Ian didn't seem to like it, but we'll see what you all think when we get there.
Oh, I don't even remember this now.
Oh, yeah, we'll get to it.
Okay.
In the meantime, we got everything covered as far as housekeeping. We're just ready to dive in. Yeah, you got anything else you want to add?
No. Yeah. No, here we go.
Shout out to Domer, theme song, Big Old Dead, also on all those other audio video apps that we mentioned.
Thank you for not like suing us yet.
Suing us. We have a verbal contract.
Yes.
Right? He gets like a percentage of our earnings.
All our earnings, our deep pocket earnings.
Right, yeah. After what we don't reinvest
at this point,
in production.
Gomer, I think we're in debt, so you can have some of that too.
We're a team. We share it. We share the wealth and we share the debt. All right, enough bullshitting. Let's go. We open with part 11, or excuse me, we open part 11 with another gorgeous shot of the shadows of the clouds skittering across the mountainside. I don't get tired of that shit, but, your mileage may vary. Cut to a trio of young boys playing catch in the gravel drive near a mobile home. Growing up with brothers, it was fun to see a scene where they weren't fighting for a change,
Okay, sure.
They're actually having fun. After an errant throw sends the ball rolling into the far weeds, the oldest boy goes to retrieve it. He stops dead in his tracks when he sees a badly injured person in the tall grass crawling toward him. It's Miriam, bloodied and battered, but still alive. The boy sends his younger brothers to fetch their mother while poor Miriam gasps for air and struggles desperately to get to her feet.
We never come back to it again in this episode.
There's stuff we in this episode that we never come back to again in the series.
No,
So
I don't doubt that. I'm just saying
for what that's worth.
It's just funny.
Cut to the new Fat Trout trailer park, or is that where we were already? Tough to say.
Right?
Where Becky is on her phone receiving some unpleasant news. After ending the call, she lets out a primal scream before contacting her mother, frantically begging to borrow her car, claiming that something is up with Steven. After a brief apology to Norma, Shelley rushes out of the Double R to go aid her daughter, who has now fetched a gun from underneath her sofa.
I feel like Norma's been sitting at that table for like 3 weeks now, just sitting there with all those bills.
Or the counter. They might have filmed all of her scenes in like 2 days or something. Because, most of the scenes of Norma are her by herself. Shelley arrives at the trailer in record time, but an armed Becky snatches the keys immediately out of Shelley's hand, blows right past her mother, and jumps into the car, immediately starting the engine. Shelley leaps onto the hood in a desperate and slightly comical attempt to stop her daughter from whatever she's doing. But Becky's face is blank with rage as she pulls a rapid 180 without hesitation, sending her mother flying onto a nearby lawn. Carl rushes to check on Shelley as Becky peels out of the parking lot. I had to laugh at this bit. He summons his trusty VW van and driver to take her back to the Double R with the use of a long whistle. Like the notion that this guy is just like on the clock or something and is just like behind the driver's wheel of this van at all times, just waiting for Carl to whistle for him.
Yep. Indeed.
That's kind of amusing.
No one found it amusing when I would do things like that in Super Ninja. You know, you do something like that and people would be like, why'd you do that? Oh, I just thought it was amusing. Do it here. It's like I see the parallels to my filmmaking as a young high schooler, and it's like, how did this make it? That's all I think to myself. How come I couldn't do it and he did it? I don't get it. Oh well.
Art is getting away with it. Andy Warhol. Carl does his best to console Shelley as she whips out her phone to contact Norma, spelling out the whole story and then asking, "What should I do?" Norma has a quick and sane response. "Why don't you just call Bobby?" The hesitation is obvious on Shelley's face, but Carl wastes no time in busting out his trusty CB radio right there in front of him and contacting Maggie at the sheriff's station switchboard, who patches them through to Deputy Briggs. This whole scene cracks me up. I mean, just like all these, Carl just happens to have like a lifeline right to the sheriff's station and
it is wild.
Is on first name basis. Like,
it's very wild.
Like some kind of like odd marshal of some sort, you know? It's weird. I mean, obviously Carl is like a resident of Twin Peaks. I mean, is that obvious in Fire Walk with Me though? Like he's a different, yeah. It is very weird to me, just like how dialed in Carl is to every aspect of the town.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
And that's
this is a very this episode. It's like, what are we doing? He has a direct line to the Batcave, and this just seems so
right?
Convoluted.
It might as well have been a red phone.
It's just,
I mean, a lot of it is not that like contacting Bobby is convoluted. And actually, this episode is the first
why
real.
But why does he have to like? It just seems so unnecessary. But
well, I mean, I think also we start to see here that like, and maybe we should wait until a later scene to touch on this, but like, I mean, obviously, like Shelley running to Norma immediately, like having no idea what to do. I mean, yeah, she's always seen Norma as kind of her mother figure, but like, you get the feeling that like anytime Shelley doesn't know what to do, she calls Norma and asks, "What should I do?" And sometimes she does what Norma suggests, and sometimes she doesn't. Like, she's obviously not Like if Carl wasn't there, she probably wouldn't have contacted Bobby. But Carl kind of like forced her into it.
I guess.
So I don't know.
I
I'm
mean,
I'm
that's
reading a
all.
lot into this
Yeah, that's
because I like
all.
to show a lot more than you do.
I
So.
I guess, but like for someone like we don't really know what that relationship is between them. I don't know that she doesn't trust Bobby anymore. I mean, it's I guess that's what it's alluding, but it's like we don't really know that.
Yeah,
It hasn't
that's
given us any of that information. We don't know that.
no,
Why
it's
wouldn't you
teasing
call
it
the
out. That's
father?
what I
Why wouldn't you call the father of your child? It just like how somehow Shelley got stupider from the original show to this one. It just
I'm just wondering how smart she was to begin
well,
with.
maybe that's fine, but like there's some really
Because,
dumb people in this episode, so it's like
yeah, Shelley definitely being one of them, but we're getting a little ahead of ourselves there. But her daughter is not a lot smarter. Unfortunately, everybody's out of time as Becky has arrived at her destination, a nearby apartment complex. Drawing some parallels, the hallways of this apartment complex are yellow, just like the hallways to Ruth Davenport's apartment in Buckhorn. Yellow, of course, being the color of suffering and garmonbozia, the creamed corn.
interesting. No,
Yeah, you see all kinds of ties of that in like Reddit theories and rabbit holes, like the color yellow always representing suffering and something bad about to happen. So most of the time they're correct. Jaw set, Becky stalks up the stairs and uses the butt of the pistol to violently knock on the door of apartment 208. She screams for her husband, but a neighbor pokes her head out to let her know that he and the occupant of the apartment have already left. Then the neighbor immediately ducks her head back in when she sees the gun in Becky's hand. Becky is either undeterred or encouraged by this news, screaming, "Fuck you, Steven," and firing 6 shots into the door of the apartment. The shot then moves down the hallway and a set of stairs before coming to rest on a terrified Steven and his side piece. That's Gersten Hayward, Donna's piano prodigy younger sister, played by Hollywood vet Alicia Witt.
okay. Didn't quite.
Did you recognize her?
No. It's kind of a weird.
You recognized her as Alicia Witt, though, right?
No, not really. Not in that shot.
No? Yeah.
It's kind of down
Fair.
angle, and she's all kind of like sweaty and weird looking.
She's haggard, yeah.
So I didn't even put it together.
Well, spoiler alert.
It's also poorly
For
lit.
those of you who didn't recognize her, it is poorly lit. Boy, that dates back to some of our earliest episodes. You're complaining about the lighting.
Well,
I
no,
was just going over
It's not that like
our old
it's not like I don't.
social posts.
It's not like I don't mind the lighting in it. It's just that like it's dimly lit in that staircase. It's not like it's
Okay.
It's yeah. No,
it was one of our early promos I was reading, like, and I make fun of you complaining about the lighting.
Oh,
So that's the only reason I bring that up.
Gotcha.
Back to Maggie at the switchboard, fielding multiple calls for the same address. Presumably, that would be the apartment complex that just heard shots fired
Multiple times.
Let's go out to Buckhorn, where the FBI gang, along with Mackley and Bill Hastings, have arrived at the site where Hastings claims to have met the Major. It's a derelict house on a mostly vacant and overgrown lot with a couple of shipping containers thrown in. Hastings tells Tammy he accessed the property via a hole in the fence and went in about 10 or 20 feet toward the house, and that's all he can remember. As he finishes his sentence, Hastings looks towards the back of the lot to see one of the woodsmen ducking behind the storage container. Hastings catches his breath in terror. But here's the thing. Albert and Gordon see the woodsman too. This is the first time that we've actually seen Albert and Gordon interact with any kind of legitimate supernatural element. So, important step here.
And not bothered by it in the least.
You say that now, but clearly not true later on.
I guess.
Cat on a hot tin roof.
I guess. I don't know.
I think well, we'll get there. Hastings, yeah, they enter the property, firearms drawn, while Tammy covers them from the other side of the fence. Albert pulls up
Awkwardly,
short,
awkwardly, I must say.
awkwardly, yes, awkwardly, clearly never having firearm training. Albert pulls up short, a little less than 10 feet in, but Gordon continues forward for a moment until he stops suddenly and stares up at the sky. We can see from Albert's point of view that his vision is beginning to blur and distort, and buzzing, crackling electricity rises in volume once again. Now we get Gordon's point of view as we see a vortex beginning to swallow the sky, circling as if down into a drain in the center. Gordon reaches up toward it as the electricity noise and the rushing wind noise grow louder. But that's a poorly written sentence there, sorry. We then make an amusing cut to the point of view of Mackley, Hastings, and Diane, all waiting by the cars. They don't seem to be able to see or hear things the same way that Albert and Gordon are. To them and to the cameras, it just looks like Gordon is aimlessly waving his arms in the air while Albert stares at him. That kind of cracks me up, going back and forth between those two perspectives. And, I don't know if it affects the mood all that much, but I think it's, I think it's Lynch recognizing how ridiculous it all looks to an outside viewer.
Maybe.
It might be a little bit of meta commentary in the editing room. Who knows? The vortex opens up momentarily to show us a brief glimpse of a trio of woodsmen standing at the top of a set of stairs in a house as equally blackened as they are. Albert sees Gordon beginning to flicker in and out of existence, his appearance alternating into a blazing electric fire. The spell is finally broken when Albert reaches out and grabs Gordon by the coat, pulling him back about 10 feet to where he's standing. Albert, to me, seems a bit stressed out here, but Gordon appears oddly unmoved by the event. Off to his right, Albert spies something resembling a body in the tall weeds. As he and Gordon head over to investigate, yuck, yuck, Diane catches a glimpse of the same woodsman near the same storage container. So it's Diane, too. The body they find is a nude female missing its head. Presumably, this is the rest of Ruth Davenport. Albert snaps a few photos of the body. Diane again sees the woodsman, this time sneaking up toward the back of Detective Mackley's car, where Hastings is seated. Albert tells Gordon the pictures he was taking are coordinates written on Ruth's arm, when suddenly Hastings' head begins to vibrate in an odd fashion before abruptly exploding, splattering blood all over Mackley and the interior of his car. A panicked Mackley radios for backup to the address 2240 Sycamore.
Wait, does it actually
No
vibrate?
coincidence
Because I
there.
don't remember seeing it vibrate.
Yeah.
It doesn't in mine.
Watch it on a bigger TV.
I have a huge TV.
Oh. Well,
It doesn't ever.
I noticed it.
Huh.
Yeah, I noticed it.
Interesting. Just barely through the headset?
Just slightly.
Oh.
Like it doesn't, his head itself doesn't move, but you can see the eyes and like the facial features.
Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. But when it actually, you don't see it actually explode or anything.
No, you don't even actually see the explosion.
No. Okay. You do
just
see
see
this
the
kind
splatter.
of. You do see this kind of stuttered. Okay. Yes. You do.
Yeah,
see this
a
kind of
weird
stuttered
vibration.
and then an overlay of the same shot.
Not like something in like
Sorry,
a Tool
no,
video
no.
or something like
Alright.
that.
No,
But it's very,
you see,
it's very subtle.
yeah, okay. You do see the quick, he's been possessed or something, and then he cuts
Yeah,
away.
and his eyes get a little wide. Yeah, and then it
up
cuts
and
away to
back.
Mackley and
Then it
splat.
explodes. All right. I thought we were gonna get fucking scanners or some shit. I don't know.
No, they didn't spring for that. They just sprang for a digital edit over the top half of Matthew Lillard's head. It's pretty obvious, but it works for what it is. But yeah, Sycamore. just like the trees surrounding the portal into the Black Lodge. The FBI crew helplessly surrounds the car while Gordon states the obvious and has the most dry wit reading of any line in the series. He's dead. So yeah, that scene.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it.
And well,
I guess
and are we
kind of, but
sure?
it's like,
Are we sure this is Gordon's first encounter with the supernatural necessarily?
I don't know. Who knows?
That's not something that we've had confirmed for us.
Sure, but it's like, why do we give no shits about if if both Gordon and Albert see the dude sneaking around? Like, why is that not something that we're concerned about at any point? Like, why is it? Oh, it's fine.
Well, if they saw him, then they saw him like fade from view the way he did.
Yeah, but that's still weird. Like, why would you?
It is weird.
Why
but
would
it's
you
a
just like
spirit,
not give a
and
shit
why would
about
you
that?
chase the spirit?
I don't know. It just.
I mean, it's not that they didn't give a shit. It's that they knew it was futile to chase a spirit.
I don't know if it is futile.
They'll go collect some ectoplasm or something.
I don't know if it's futile. I don't
Perhaps
know.
that's just
Maybe,
FBI protocol.
Maybe
I hear there's some real idiots running that joint these days.
That's different.
The X-Files are closed.
Well, this was definitely
no
an
funding
X-Files
for that
episode.
anymore. Yeah. Back to Twin Peaks, where there's a big family meeting going on in a booth at the Double R. Bobby and Shelley are trying to help Becky plan her next move, while Norma watches silently but intently from behind the counter. This is the first real confirmation we get that Bobby is Becky's dad. Like, that's never established in the previous episodes. It's just kind of naturally assumed that given Becky's age and what we know about the history.
Right.
But yeah, here it's officially confirmed. Becky's attitude is infuriating, alternately hating and apologizing for scumbag Steven while refusing to financially compensate Kirsten for the damage she caused to her apartment. Mainly because she's broke anyway. After Becky displays the briefest hint of maturity by refusing to borrow any more money from her mother, Bobby tells Becky that he'll cover her ass this time, provided that she makes it right. After all, it's only because he works for the sheriff that she's not in a jail cell right now. Same for Steven, for that matter. Shelley breaks down in tears as she expresses her worry for her daughter, and after Norma catches Becky's eye from across the room, Becky turns on the apology faucet, begging her mother's forgiveness for the car incident.
By the way, I'm sorry I fucking stole your car and threw you off it.
Yeah.
Jesus fuck.
Yeah, but it's hard to feel sorry for Becky here. Mother and daughter share a tender embrace, which ends all too quickly when Shelley sees Red approaching the window. Her face lights up as he gestures toward the front door, and she immediately lets go of her daughter and runs right to him. Becky and Bobby both get an awkward view of Shelley and Red making kissy face by the front door before they notice they've been spotted and head down the block. Becky can't help but notice the hurt in her dad's face.
Can't help.
I thought this was really good acting on the part of Dana Ashbrook right here.
No, I think I do. I agree. I think Bobby does a good job here. He's probably the best.
Yeah.
In a scene that ultimately is like, I wish it was better. I feel this.
I feel like there was more said without the dialogue than was said with it.
It's not about dialogue or anything. I just think it's not staged very well. I don't think the dialogue's very good. I don't think where it goes is very good. I think this whole episode is written so poorly, unfortunately. And I know I said I wouldn't be negative generally, but like this is the problem with this episode for me. The staging of it, like even the staging of the last scene at the house just seems so not very good. There's just a lot of this episode that I felt like it just wasn't, I don't know, it was really hard for me to like stay engaged. I was just like, why is this happening this way? I don't know. It was a very, filmmaker Ian was being very like not happy. Was not happy.
That's a fair criticism. I don't think it's I don't think it's radical to say that staging is probably one of the last things that Lynch thinks about when he's filming. Yeah,
And then just
and
too
I'm not
much
gonna.
comedy stuff. Like this whole thing with the other boyfriend. Like the other boyfriend could have come in, but I don't know if I would have played it off as this kind of. They do all this cutesy stuff, and it's like there's ways to make that not seem so cringy. Like it's just so cringy. Like they're
It
like,
is cringy, and
it's
I
like, we
think
could
that's
have done it.
intentional.
No, we could have done it way
It's to
differently.
demonstrate.
Nah,
It's a big part of adding to defining that Shelley has never really
sure.
grown up.
I mean,
Like
none of those characters have
still
grown up,
dating.
dude.
I think Bobby has.
He's grown up, but he's not grown up. He's still stifled by the
Compared
fact that his
compared to
dad's
the
dead,
ladies,
and he
has.
never. Nah, there's still some child stuff in
Oh
here.
yeah, he's got unresolved shit for sure.
I just feel
But,
like this is
I
just
mean,
not a.
This, and then what we see later here is like a couple of examples of the apple not falling far from the tree. Like, Becky's got her bad boy that she just can't quit. And then Shelley dates Leo because he's a bad boy,
Sure,
and Leo
sure.
fucks her up. And then she dates Bobby because he's a bad boy who promises to protect her. And then God knows what happened there, but here we are 25 years later,
I
and
also
she's
think-
dating a fucking drug dealer.
But I also think that's just such a simple. That's the other problem I have with the writing of this show, I guess, because that is such a simple way to, because Twin Peaks never really ended with any real resolutions of those characters, so you have no. They didn't really ever go on any arcs. Like they're just kind of this way, and then at the end you come back and they're still just that way, and it's just kind of like, well, you could have made some of them different. Like you could have. We're just stuck in the same routine, all of them. It's just kind of, I don't know. It's just kind of disappointing. Like, as a fan, I would have wanted more from certain characters. Like I would have, but he basically abandons them all for this new kind of storyline, and then you just kind of forces them in. Is like, oh well, they'll just be the same kind of. It's just kind of disappointing, I guess. I don't know. I would be disappointed.
Yeah, it is. And, real life can sometimes be disappointing like that.
But my life is
Sometimes
not disappointing.
people evolve over 25 years and sometimes they don't. That's true of a lot of people,
Indeed. But I don't
present
know.
company included.
Whatever, man. I got you to do a podcast finally. That's evolution.
Finally, it only took 5
Evolution,
years.
baby.
Yeah, no, I'm not sitting here
You do
saying
yoga.
I'm the same
What are you
person I was
talking
25
about?
years ago. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You're still into wrestling.
But,
I can't change certain things, but it's fine.
But yeah, some people evolve in more ways than we hope or expect for them, and
Yeah, but
I feel like that's just a slice of real life right
be
there.
so-
Not everybody.
she seems even lesser of a person than she was in the original series. Like, whereas Bobby is more of a person, she is lesser, I feel. And that's just kind of disappointing. I don't know.
It is, but I mean, a lot of Shelley's character
even
was
Norma.
just being a victim to begin with.
Norma didn't change at all.
I will say that Norma gets a better arc coming up.
Okay.
We get to see something more important for her later on.
So she's not in the restaurant?
She's in the restaurant.
She
Honestly,
fights off some terrorists in the restaurant. It's fucking sick. Just John Wick, Norma. It's wild, Ian. You're gonna love it.
Grandma Norma just kicking ass.
Yeah.
So anyway, Red and Shelley's makeout session is brief, ending with a vow to meet up later before she re-enters the booth to disapproving looks from Norma, Bobby, and Becky.
But the cringy part is how he runs off down the street like a giddy schoolboy. And it's just like, come on.
Yeah. It's just like both of them are horny teenagers.
It's like, just fucking go.
I mean, not that Shelley's a catch, dude. I wouldn't.
Sure. And I'd be happy. I get that. But like,
And we already know
what are you running to, bro?
Red and his weird liver, he's probably just high as fuck,
Oh, is that what it is? All right.
So he had 3 bumps in the car before he came to make out with her, so.
Had to stash a gun in a minivan.
Right? He had to do some drug dealer shit, whatever. Look for it in the deleted scenes. Suddenly, two gunshots ring out,
Like a
shattering a
bell.
window of the diner.
I grabbed a 9. All I heard was
All I heard was shells. Fallen. Don't make us do the whole song, people. We will.
Nope,
For $5. Do we have a Patreon? No, we
we do
don't.
not.
We'll do it after. Suddenly, two shots ring out, shattering a window of the diner. Bobby goes into hero cop mode as everyone ducks for cover while Norma has Toad in the kitchen cut the lights. Bobby makes his way to the street where he finds the source of the shots. It's a young boy in the back of his parents' minivan. He found a gun under the seat. As the mother of the child screams at the father for his idiotic lack of responsibility, he shrugs her off. He shrugs off her rebukes with minimally worded defiance. Bobby studies the boy, who appears to be completely unbothered by all the chaos he's caused. He leans against the open door of the minivan, hand on his hip, his eyes fixed on Bobby with a sullen stare. As Bobby looks to the father, who is dressed in nearly identical fashion to his son, he can see in his face and his stance the same casual indifference to the potential gravity of the situation.
So this supports Gabe's theory that in Twin Peaks no one changes. So like father, like son.
I'm saying that a lot of
like
what Twin
they're
Peaks
all
is about is
this is supporting
cycles
the
of
argument.
harm,
Yes, it's
the
supporting
cycles
it.
of harm that we visit upon our families. And why does Becky like bad boys? It's because it's what she's seen her mother
And I
attached
think
to her
that's what
whole
this
life.
is all about right here. It's supporting that.
That's
argument.
what this is a commentary on that. Yeah, 100%. It's pretty heavy handed. I don't think I'm reading too deeply.
No, I don't think you're reading
by
into it. I
dragging
just
that up.
like you just said, it's very heavy handed. It's just like,
It is.
all right, Lynch. I thought I don't know. Sometimes he's like way
But,
like
yeah.
in film. I feel like he has a way more deft touch. Here, it's just so like grandiose and so like lazily done.
I mean,
to a
in this
degree.
episode, yeah, when you isolate it for an hour of television, yeah, it feels like an overly heightened kind of like the scene after the Richard ran over the one kid.
Mm-hmm.
It feels abnormally large for a 1 hour episode, but for an 18-hour film, it feels like a much smaller piece of that.
This whole sequence in here, and even with what's coming up in this sequence, is
Mhm.
I mean this diner diner sequence, I guess we'll call it,
Yeah,
is
because
my
it's pretty
favorite
extended.
is my favorite part of this episode. I just
Mhm.
wish it was done way differently, but it is bizarre. It has some bizarre shit in it. I wish it was
Yeah.
handled differently, and I feel like it could have been the most Lynchian. I just wish it was. Maybe it's because he's just doing so much here. He's trying to do all these episodes. He's just kind of like
It's
a
a
lot of
lot,
it's getting
yeah.
glossed over. But I feel like this could have been something kind of really creepy, and it's very TV and not creepy.
It felt. I mean, it affected me.
But
To
everything
a
affects you.
high
I mean, you're
degree.
into wrestling, Gabe. I mean, we've been over this already. No,
You say that like it's an insult.
I'm trying to make it an insult.
I'm trying, but I won't take it that
I know
way.
because you love it. I know you love wrestling. I get it.
It's a lifelong obsession.
It's too clean. It's too not affected. But it's just, there's almost something about it that I wish more care was given to it, because I don't know. It's the sequence of events in this that I think had a lot going on, where
Mhm.
there's a kind of a dance going on, and I just wish it was tighter. I wish it was a little bit shorter, but better. And I don't know. I think Bobby actually as a character is compelling. I think he actually, as an actor, he actually holds the screen now, whereas before he was doing too much all the time. And back in the day, he was young and doing too much. Now I think, he's older. He kind of has a presence. I do like his look, and I think that, he's a pretty good actor in this, actually. But it's just it's messy, and that's what I was thinking the whole time. It's like,
I hear
man,
you. I hear you. but it's Lynchian, and Lynch is messy. Lynch is not precise.
I know, but that's
Lynch glosses over details that other filmmakers pay close attention to.
and then he hammers details, hammers them.
And then he does. He hammers the details he thinks are important. At least for whatever message he's trying to convey, which he's not going to tell you. You just have to figure that out for yourself. Deputy Jesse pulls up, another little local curiosity. Mostly comedy relief, but also, pretty solid guy that we've seen so far. He was in the neighborhood at Big Ed's gas farm. Good to know Big Ed's still around. We haven't seen him yet.
Just farting it up a storm.
Gas farm, baby. Bring back the ozone hole. Anyway, Deputy Jesse heard the shots, and now he's there to take point with the parents while Bobby heads back to silence the woman in the car behind the van who has been honking incessantly the whole time, which adds a lot of tension to the scene. The woman is absolutely frantic, ranting about her and her unseen passenger being late for dinner with the passenger's uncle, whom she hasn't seen in a very long time. She tells Bobby that the passenger is sick, and we finally get a look at her as she unnaturally sits up from her seat, limbs and eyes twitching as a thin green fluid leaks from her mouth in choked gasps. The woman's manic ramblings become manic screams of terror as Bobby's face contorts in confused disgust.
I was almost half expecting Lynch to have her throw up on him.
Like on Bobby?
Yeah, I was almost
style.
almost expecting that to happen at this point, and I was surprised that there's so much reserve on that that part, because it's like she kept getting closer and closer and closer, and I was just like, "Are you gonna do it? You can do it?"
And it's yeah. Like upon the first watching, I thought that like what the girl was leaking out was Garmin Boja, was the same crap that Mr. C puked up.
Right, but that was a
but
lot.
But on this viewing, yeah, no, it was way chunkier, and yeah, this was just like
green liquid, like pea soup or something.
Yeah. And so like
they weren't revulsed by the smell of it.
Like he didn't suffer. But yeah, like a couple of theories that I see in Reddit rabbit holes are like they keep referring to at some point there being a drug called Sparkle, which I don't remember them bringing that up. But apparently this is whatever the drug is that Red and Richard Horn are pushing. And it's like, according to like these theories, it's cocaine laced with, Black Lodge, Garmin Boja, or whatever.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Other theories are that
like a child though.
Yeah, no, preteen.
It's still pretty young. I don't know.
Yeah. Twin Peaks is an ugly fucking town sometimes, man.
So. Fuck the PNW.
At least the isolated areas.
Let me guess. Is this the theory? Do we never come back to this?
We never come back to this.
I had a feeling.
Well played. That was one of the things that infuriated me the most about The Return, was the fact that we never came back to this.
I had a feeling.
One of the other theories that I did read that actually makes a lot of sense is what I kind of like to think of as the Ghostbusters theory. Is now that all of this Black Lodge energy is acting up again, like in this 25-year cycle, a lot of the supernatural shit is just kind of bleeding through, and it's affecting people who are closer to it for some reason in different ways. And, maybe people who are overdosing on bad drugs, these Black Lodge spirits have their tendrils in them, just absorbing their suffering.
I know this is a spoiler,
which is what they feed on.
Sorts, but does this all end up wrapping up in Twin Peaks? Ultimately?
I wouldn't say all of it does.
Oh. So, like, Cooper never makes his way back to Twin Peaks at the very end?
I'm not going to answer that question.
So it does. Cool. All right.
But I wouldn't say that everything wraps up in
Twin Peaks. I'm not saying everything wraps up in Twin Peaks, but I just, I have a feeling like, I don't know.
I mean, Twin Peaks is obviously a pretty key location to whatever is
That's what I'm
going on
saying.
with
So like it would seem like
the Black and the White Lodges. So
what I'm saying is like it would just seem key to have a show of the return that he would have to actually have to return to Twin Peaks at some point. But
seems pretty obvious, doesn't it? We'll have to wait and see in the next 6 or 7 parts.
I'll probably just see one of those swirlies and look through it. Oh, there's the Twin Peaks sign. Okay, close it up. Anyway.
Or he'll jump through like Doctor Strange.
Mm.
He'll grab the Alcave ring and do this. Find Sheriff Truman. That's not the Sheriff Truman I was looking for. I've changed universes.
I don't believe you. Jump on the ceiling. Can you get that?
Eat a whole cherry pie.
Can you eat that web over there? Can you get that web for me? Anyway.
Can you drink straight black coffee?
Can you? I can't.
Me neither. Fucking awful. We cut away to the sheriff's station. Very sudden cut, mind you. Where Frank and Hawk are using Google Maps to pinpoint the location in the forest referred to by Major Briggs in his note.
Reels, please now.
Yeah. Hawk pulls out a map of his own, which he refers to as a living thing. What a terrible thing to lose. And claims it is very old. We see a lot of the same symbols that we saw on the Owl Cave map from the original series, focusing on an image of the Twin Peaks themselves. Hawk points to the one on the right and labels it as Blue Pine Mountain, where the Major's research station was located. On Hawk's map near the same mountain, there is a fire symbol, which Hawk likens to modern-day electricity. Just energy in general. He then points out the stars etched on his map, which he says match the date that the Major instructed them to visit the area on. Not sure how he can understand that. That's a convenient little plot device right there, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm willing to overlook it, even if certain other independent filmmakers are not. Not that I claim it to be an independent filmmaker. That is not a title.
Gabe makes a lot of movies on his own. He's a big filmmaker. Beck Productions.
You don't want to know what kind of movies.
Beck Films.
Beck Films. I would come up with something way more clever than that.
I'm sure. Beck is a Fart Productions.
Beck is a fart.
Anyway.
My Poor Colon Films.
Yeah.
That'll look good on an opening title card. Hawk then draws Frank's attention to a section of the map that depicts stalks of corn, a traditional Native American fertility symbol. But the corn on this map progresses to a blackened, wilted state, indicating that it has been corrupted or diseased, now become a symbol of death.
Right next to it, there's a picture of Jonathan Davies, and you're like, oh, I get it.
I hate that song so much. Blah, blah, blah. The two also take note of a blackened fire symbol directly above the corn. Hawk's map also features the same owl/circle with horns symbol that we saw on the Major's note and on Mr. C's ace. When Frank inquires about it, Hawk's only response is to tell him, "You don't ever want to know about that."
You don't. Let's just explain away that. So we're going to explain it away. So before this next part, when I'm watching this, while I'm watching this whole scene right here and the way Hawk is explaining it to Truman, this reminds me of a scene that I directed in my sequel film, Super Ninja: The Pimp Strikes Back, at Sherry's, where the character Manly Chicken does like this tarot card reading for Super Ninja and explains basically they're magic cards, but they're supposed to be tarot cards. But the way it is acted in my film deeply parallels very similarly to this sequence, and I could not get that out of my head the entire time that Hawk is talking. It almost felt like Lynch just said, just kind of make it up. This just has to kind of do this, and just kind of just say it. And it's just like, okay, because it just feels very kind of.
You're not far from the mark. Like a lot of what you see in certain scenes, like what I've been seeing in the backstage footage, like it's him directing them before the scene, and he's a lot of, and you'll move over here, and you'll say, "I've got to do this, this, and this," and it's the exact line in the script, and then or the line that was shot. I don't know if it's the line in the script always or not. But then, and you'll come over here and say, "I've got to blah 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 blah," and it's him say again. It's yeah, word for word, not only giving directions but giving lines as well. So I could see that very much being the case here, that they never worked off of a script at all
Because there's just some
while
very
filming this
just
scene.
some very ways he he expresses it and transitions it between the image and life and whatever is very similar to how I directed this very garbagey scene in my film. This is like an old high school film, but it's it's so. I feel like I should take Super Ninja 1 and 2 and recut it and just call it a Twin Peaks the Lost Twin Peaks episode, and then people would be just like, what? But then it would also be like, yeah. Anyway. Because we got that little typhoon. We got that little typhoon thing too, where the things disappear and
the vortex.
We do all that vortex shit. Yeah. And then a frog appears on the hand. And what does the frog mean? What does the frog mean?
What does the frog mean? Is it about the bunny?
It's one of those things.
Or the penguin?
It's exactly like that, though. Anyway, all right, we can carry on.
Anyway. The spooky silence is broken via intercom by Lucy, who is patching through a call from the log lady. More prophecy.
Well, you have to explain the fact that I don't know why we look at furniture because I'm always here. So it goes back to that scene where they're arguing over the furniture they're buying. But why do they want to buy fine? It's I'm so glad they brought that joke back up to the forefront of this conversation.
I barely paid attention to it.
I know, but it's just so weird. Why is that?
It's there because it's weird. It's there to make it weird.
It's just what?
It's like the marching band showing up in the elevator, It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, maybe.
That's the way I look at it anyway.
It must help to watch this high as fuck.
It does. Not going to lie.
Anyway,
I'd recommend you try it sometime.
No, I think I need to watch. I think I need to watch through it just straight up.
Anyway.
Phone call, Lucy. Hey.
Phone call. Margaret warns Hawk that, quote, "There's fire where you are going." It's the name of the episode, people. And Frank looks uneasily at the black fire symbol on the map. Hawk and Frank share a tense look as a quiet knock comes at the door, but it's just Deputy Jesse, wondering if the sheriff wants to see his new car, comedically breaking the tension. Frank really seems out of his element here, doesn't he? And they don't establish that, but I have to believe that Frank left Twin Peaks after high school and didn't come back until Harry took sick. And I know there's more history about Frank somewhere that I haven't gotten to yet.
Well, he's been starting to feel out of his element with the whole, even with the Bobby thing and the finding the little weird map.
Yeah, he's got no
shit. Yeah.
He's a fish out of water when it comes to all the Black Lodge and Laura Palmer stuff. Whereas, Harry was also leader of the Bookhouse Boys, who were there to combat the evil in the woods. And all this discussion with Frank, this is what always bothered me about Frank, is that if Harry was hip to all this shit, why wasn't he? Who did Harry learn all of this from, if not his dad? If it's not a generational Twin Peaks native thing, then what draws Harry into it that didn't draw Frank in?
He's just a disbeliever, I guess.
So yeah, maybe Frank was afraid of the darkness and ran away from it. I don't know. That's one of those things that is open to speculation. we
Or
don't ever
maybe there
really
is,
get.
or there's none of that, just because they just had to create a role, and then they're just kind of like, nah, no one. Yeah, we'll just gloss over all that shit.
Yeah, but a scene like this with Harry in it would be deeply insulting. Like to think that Harry wouldn't have gone over this stuff in the previous 25 years, like since Cooper
Yeah,
disappeared.
but I also think Hawk would have a lot less to do in this stuff if Harry was around. I think a lot more of this would be. I think they offloaded it onto
Yeah,
Hawk.
who would all the mysticism exposition be explained to?
I think they probably
I mean,
would.
at least with the FBI, we have Tammy. Like, would they have given Bobby a bigger role in that, or Deputy Jesse, or somebody else?
I think I would have just killed Truman off, and then given Hawk the position, and then had Bobby be the second, and like not bring in a brother. But I think the only reason they didn't do that is because Lynch wanted that true man thing. He likes play on words. He likes that kind of stuff. And it's like, but I feel like who cares? Like a hawk can still be cool. It still sees
Mhm.
all. You could have done all kinds of things with that. I don't know. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It's
The more
his
the more we
choice.
see of yeah, but the more we see of Frank, the more I agree with you. The more useless he feels,
Yeah, and it's
and
like
he
Hawk is doing
really
all the work. Like,
yeah, he's just there to have things explained to him
yeah,
and be
yeah.
the proxy for the audience who doesn't know shit about Twin Peaks.
So it would have been cool if Hawk was
So
in
yeah,
that
as
leadership
great an
role.
actor
Yeah. Oh, sure.
as great an actor as Robert Forster is, take nothing away from him, but yeah, this role doesn't feel like it's worthy of his talents.
For sure.
Cut to a close up of a trembling hand on a table. For a second, it gives you the impression that it's Hawk based on the way he kind of looks down with a concerned look before this
Also,
scene cuts.
also just like sidebar. The white people always trying to keep the the minorities down here. They can't be leaders in roles of fuck you, lit.
Yeah, yeah. No, when we remake Twin Peaks, Hawk is going to be way more important.
Just people of I don't know. Just representation
He's
matters.
going to be the one with leather jackets and motorcycles. Yeah,
Oh, that'd be sick. Just goes fucking.
renegade.
And there's got to be the episode where he just does peyote and just goes tripping for like a whole episode, just walking
Yeah,
the
speaking
sycamores.
to the one-armed man. Yeah, he's not afraid of him. He speaks backwards right back to him.
Anyway, man, what a great. We could have been
Anyway.
awesome on this show, Gabe. I think we could have. Anyway,
We just got to pitch the alternate universe, dude. The Elseworlds Twin Peaks.
Peaks of
It'd
Twins.
be like the Regulators in Desperation, Same names, different characters. It's all connected, though.
Oh boy.
Yes, the trembling hand belongs to Gordon Cole. Apparently, his encounter affected him a little more than we realized. Cat on a hot tin roof. Albert cautions Gordon against consuming more caffeine before breaking out the photograph of the coordinates written on Ruth Davenport's arm for them to study. This spurred on by another Gordon can't hear pun.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird shit happening in this episode. This sequence right here, and I feel like a lot of this is just unnecessary. Like this is just recapping what we already saw, and we probably could have handled that in that previous scene. But
No, because we needed Mackley to calm down. Mackley was pretty freaked out. It would have made no sense for Mackley to be calm.
And you know what? These cigarettes would go great with this coffee. So you have to have that romanticizing the cigarettes. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah, we do have to have that.
I feel like none of this needs to be here. This is just a weird. I don't know. I guess Mackley needs to calm down, but they're FBI. Like, what does he actually bring? I don't know.
Oh, you know what I forgot to bring up, and I knew you were gonna. When Norma is watching Bobby and Shelley talk to Becky, did you notice the mugs she was handling?
Oh, I didn't notice the mugs. Was she using the weird ones?
They were the weird mugs.
But he was drinking out of a normal one.
He was, but the ones she was cleaning at the counter were the weird ones.
Oh man!
And they were even darker than the old ones, so they were a new set. They still make them 25 years later.
Of course. Of course, someone does. They don't like Twin
I
Peaks
feel bad
much.
for forgetting to bring that up in the
Oh,
scene. I should
no
have written that
worries.
into the
That's no
notes.
worries. I didn't. I totally. I was just looking at her face and her like disinterested, like her like I was just
The
watching her
concerned
face.
look.
I
Yeah.
wasn't even looking at what she was doing. That's funny.
Yeah. I expected you would have noticed that. Yeah.
That's
But
weird.
anyway, that's what brings me back to that was
The coffee and donuts.
the coffee and donuts that show up here. Yeah. So anyway, Albert catches Diane memorizing the coordinates, and Diane catches Albert catching her. Gordon asks Albert where the coordinates lead, and Albert only gets as far as, quote, a small town. Pretty sure we all know where he's going to finish that sentence. Before Tammy and Mackley interrupt with a spread of coffee and large donuts. Very large donuts, which Gordon refers to as, quote, the policeman's dream. Mackley kindly allows Diane permission to smoke in the office as they all discuss the particulars of the case. Mackley brings up the lack of suspects, and that's when Gordon decides to mention seeing the woodsman. Albert's description of him jogging Diane's memory as well, leading her to claim she saw him exit the police car. This puzzles Mackley, who was in the car and didn't see anyone. Tammy also states she saw no one else on the lot. Gordon interjects with his memory of what he saw inside of the vortex. Dirty, bearded men in a room.
I'm guessing because they've never had any interaction with Cooper.
Yeah, or they're just not sensitive
They're
to
just
this
not
sort of
interesting
stuff.
enough.
Yeah, they don't have the spiritual tie. I don't know.
I don't know. Tammy
Maybe you
Tammy
have to
seems
have the
pretty spiritual.
experience. I don't know about that.
Oh, she looks spiritual to me. She looks spiritual to Gordon. So I mean,
Yeah. I think you're using that word the wrong way.
I love. No, I'm not. I'm using it the correct way. I love how every time Tammy gets out of a car with Gordon, she's always like they're kind of helping him and touching him. Do you ever notice that? Like she's always like petting him or putting her arm around him or like holding his arm. It's just like, oh my god,
like he's an old uncle or a grandfather or some elderly
like
relative.
a pimp. I don't know. One of the two. Like it's just like it's very weird.
Interpret it how you will. I see it as
Do they hook up, Gabe?
They don't.
Oh,
I don't feel bad not
Thank
spoiling
God.
that for you.
Thank God. Thank God. Because it's very like. Anyway.
No. You will find that Gordon's interest in Tammy is indeed purely professional.
Certainly hope so.
Anyway, yeah, Dirty Bearded Men in a Room was my original pitch for the name of our podcast.
Oh. Okay. Yes.
I mean, I don't know how. I shower daily, so I don't think I would consider myself dirty. I don't know so much about
This is not
my line of
beard.
thinking
This is like
sometimes.
scruff. You know, this is like the
That's
John
a beard.
It's a beard, but it's like the scruffy beard. It's like not. That's not like what
It's,
you
it's a
got.
short beard.
It's not what you
But
got.
I would consider you a bearded man.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
So yeah. We wouldn't be in the same room necessarily, but
Blake as a fart is funnier. It's a little more.
it is. I'm glad we chose that one instead.
It is a little more poignant.
It is a better choice.
So bearded men. Plus the two A's. Blank as a fart for the two mountains. It's perfect. So good.
There you go. By the way, those two are
on the mountain. On the
what was
map.
it?
They're on the map too.
Yeah. What was the map? It's Blue Mountain, or no, Blue Pine. Blue Pine Mountain, and the other one of the Twin Peaks is Whitetail Peak, for those who are wondering.
There you go.
I did look that up. At Lucky 7 Insurance, Battlin' Bud is doing desk push-ups while Phil uses coffee to lure Dougie into Mullins' office for a meeting. Dude, Mullins is the kind of 70 I want to be.
Yeah.
I hope I look that good at that age.
I do desk push-ups. I have a standing desk though, so I'll stand and be dancing with the edit, and then I'll just kind of do some desk push-ups.
There you go. Luckily, I'm in a position where I don't have to stay at the desk all day long. I have excuses to get up and move around.
Oh, I get to go.
So
I was out of the office most of the day today, but because I shoot kids for a living. with a camera, people. Jeez.
Oh man, did you set yourself up for that one?
No, I did that on purpose. Come on. Listen, I've been using that joke
That's
for
our
a
next
very.
blank as a vote pro.
I've been using that joke for a very long time.
Yeah, I'm sure you have. I'm just seeing an Eric Andre promo with like a still shot. Yep. I shoot kids. Ian Southward.
ICE is coming. They're gonna come lock me up and deport me to Hawaii. I know.
No, you're way too white passing for that.
You say that. You say that.
I say that. Where are we? Yeah. Through the window, Sinclair tries to look inconspicuous as he assesses the situation. Mullins sits Dougie down and gets right to the point. Dougie's investigative skills have obviously uncovered an organized crime ring, resulting in the recent attempts on his life. Since the Mitchum brothers' claim is legitimate accident and not arson, they're obviously not involved. Coincidentally, they've just requested a meeting with Dougie, so Mullins sees this as the perfect opportunity for Dougie to hand deliver their claim check for $30 million, a claim which won't cause undue harm to the agency because Bushnell took out his own insurance policy to cover those kinds of losses. Bushnell doubled down. I'm not sure how all that works. So ultimately, who is paying this $30 million?
Exactly. I'm kind of lost on this whole thing. Like, this is I don't get this.
Insurance companies have their own insurance to cover insurance losses? It's just...
Yeah, but like...
It sounds almost crazy enough to be true.
But they proved that it wasn't... They I don't know. That it was fraud, right? So it doesn't... So they should...
No, it wasn't fraud.
It wasn't fraud.
Right.
So they do have to give it to them.
Right. The way that they're trying to be screwed is to try
so
and
the
pass it off like...
insurance company was trying to screw them out of the claim.
Well, yes. And not at Bushnell. It wasn't Bushnell's idea. This was at Duncan Todd is the one who's behind that.
All right.
So Duncan Todd got to Sinclair and told him, hey, rig this claim so the Mitchums don't get paid,
right,
even though this was an accidental fire.
Right.
Rig this claim so it makes it look like they said it themselves, and then their claim gets denied.
But now
right.
But for some reason,
but
Bushnell doubled down on it. Okay.
Yeah. So apparently
he
has insurance,
he
whereas...
doesn't feel bad about giving them the money.
Right. It's not going to bankrupt him. It's not going to bankrupt the agency.
It is weird. It's very... Here's the other problem with this. Like, not this, but like, because a lot of this information is like every other episode or like... So like, it's not... I'm losing kind of its path every once in a while through the other weird shit that's happening. So like this very... benign stuff.
That's the peril of the 18-hour movies.
Yeah,
if you're not binging it, there's a lot of stuff you're not...
I don't want to get a notebook out and fucking write down notes. Like, it's just like, okay, so what?
Well, I'm afraid you're in the minority of the Twin Peaks viewing gang, then.
I mean, I should be writing on
Everybody
Reddit.
else is looking for... I mean, there's some amusing theories on Reddit, and we'll get into them at the end, because some of them... actually kind of makes sense.
So basically, Bushnell took out an additional, some kind of insurance policy on this to cover shit like this happening.
Yeah.
So that's what's happening here. But I don't know if that ever actually happens, because that seems wild.
It wouldn't surprise me.
But
I mean, I'm not sure how that, if national insurance chains offer insurance to smaller insurance chains to, like, if there's some kind of incentive for them to do that. I know very little about the insurance business.
But that's
if any of you viewers could testify to the legitimacy.
That's a lot of money, though. I mean, that's a huge amount of money.
That's a big amount
to then insure.
Like how much
pay?
Money a month? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Is like, what's the premium on something like that?
Just sucking a couple dicks, I guess.
I guess. Take out those dentures, Bushnell. I like them gummy.
Or something like what?
Or something.
Or maybe someone purchased his company in exchange for it, or who knows? There could be all kinds of
options.
It's
convenient for storytelling purposes, though, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Very, very convenient indeed.
And I was just
Anyway,
wait, is this really gonna happen this way? And this is exactly what happened. And, it's just like,
and this is
what?
exactly how.
All right.
Anyway, Mullins tells Dougie that the Mitchums will be sending a car to pick him up at 5:30. Speaking of the Mitchums, let's join them for a mid-afternoon breakfast. They do live on Vegas time. Rodney is up first, and he is well into his bowl of cereal and his newspaper before Bradley joins him at the table. Bradley seems surly and a little disturbed. Apparently, he spent all night dreaming about killing Douglas Jones. His rage is so great that he can't even enjoy his Raisin Bran. You're not liking the Mitchum brothers?
This is fine, but it's just very like, yeah, it's pretty goofy. This is pretty goofy. And now the way I all that's happening here and the way this kind of wraps up here, like there's got to be something else with them. But like it's just like, what was even the point of all this if we're kind of wrapping up all this drama? Like I don't know. I gotta watch to see if they factor into the end. But at this point, it just seems like, oh, that's that. So I don't know. Like, what was the point?
I will tell you that this is not the last you see of the Mitchum brothers.
But okay,
That's all I'll say for
I'm not
now.
gonna ask anything. Yeah, I just like it seems like they have Dougie in there, like they're friends now. I mean, whatever. We haven't got there yet. Anyway.
Oh, we're getting ahead.
Yes, go ahead. Continue on.
But yeah. Meanwhile, as Mullins is leading Dougie out of the office building, Dougie's eye is drawn to the nearby coffee shop, where, in the doorway, he can see Philip Gerard and the red curtains. Or Mike. I'm not sure which one he was in the credits this time. Anyway, the one-armed man is beckoning Dougie into the coffee shop. Dougie walks in and Mullins follows, worrying about the time. Presently, they come back and approach a limo with Dougie now carrying a medium-sized box.
Okay, before we go anywhere with this, though, I'm not going to say anything or spoil what's in the box or anything.
What's in the box?
But like, just between you and me, Gabe, like, first of all, it was a coffee shop. And then second of all, does that really come in that kind of box? Like,
the box does seem unusually tall.
Anyway, I'm just gonna say that, right? Because I was like, oh man, he must have bought him like a coffee maker or a fucking like a fuck ton of like fucking coffee beans or something. Anyway, so that's what I was expecting the entire time. Maybe just a bunch of mugs. I don't know.
Maybe. Who knows?
What a random. Anyway.
But yeah. Hey, now look at that. It's the same limo driver who took Dougie home from the casino.
Of course, wouldn't we all?
The driver sure remembers.
Yeah, we do that.
Red door.
Of course.
I mean, it doesn't surprise me that
are great.
The Mitchums only have one driver on their payroll. You know, that kind of makes sense. It's not like they run a huge casino. The driver tells Mullins that he's taking Dougie to Santino's, but that's not entirely true.
You know something wild I would have done though, Gabe? Just like quickly, just hit me in the fucking side of the face. Like, I know that I know Lynch likes twins.
Yeah.
What is the dude that had the whistle with the V-dub?
That's Carl Rudd.
Carl. Like the guy driving the V-dub would have been that dude's twin brother, but with like a beard or something. Like it would have been the same dude. I would have done that kind of shit. Like,
that's clever.
As a
I
driver,
like that.
I would have done shit like that. Anyway,
makes sense. One of those little connections.
People wouldn't even probably notice it. You put a beard on him and some like a hat. They might not even notice, but it'd be fun.
Hey, you might see some of those fun connections before the series ends. You never know. We do get a brief montage of the strip set to Sean Colvin's version of Viva Las Vegas. Eventually, we learn that Driver is actually taking Dougie way out into the desert. to what looks to be an abandoned movie set for an old western or something. That's kind of what I thought it was.
I did think it was funny. Like, so they're singing that song "Viva Las Vegas," this cover, which is
Mhm.
fine. It was cool. It's also the most anticlimactic and boring, like, kind of driving Vegas montage you ever see. Like, usually when in a movie, when you see like
Right,
"Viva"
dude. The
and it's like dark, it's
Simpsons
at
did
night
better than
and it's like
this.
light and it's just like and it's like and the fountains are going. This is like just the most anticlimactic ads and cars and it's like
Yeah,
so
this is the
antithesis.
Hangover
Yeah,
Vegas.
it's like
This
the
is like
antithesis of Vegas. It's just funny to me. I thought that was kind of funny.
this is the people who live in Vegas who
Yeah,
like the
right.
work the 9 to 5
Oh,
Vegas
sure,
job.
for sure.
Like this is how they see it. Not the tourist view, not the
I
Hollywood
would
view.
almost
This
admit,
is like
I would almost wish that like the Viva Las Vegas song was even sadder, like just like kind of depressingly.
it was. I think it's
I
probably
mean,
the saddest
right,
one you can get, which
probably,
is
but
why he
I just
chose it.
right, but I would just be like, man, I wish it was even more
But
kind of
yeah,
just.
this this montage, this is just life in the desert, life in an artificial oasis
It's funny.
in the middle of the goddamn desert. So yeah, Rodney and Bradley await Dougie's arrival. Bradley's foul mood has not abated, but now it's because he's questioning their course of action due to more remembered details of the dream he had the night before. He recalls that in the dream, the cut on Rodney's face had completely healed, and they are both astonished when Bradley removes Rodney's band aid to find that it's true.
I know where this is going.
Shocked faces. Bradley claims that there's more to it, but he just can't remember the rest yet. Dougie arrives and Rodney gets ready to send the limo driver away, but Bradley stops him when he notices the box. The rest has come flooding back to him now. If there's something very specific in that box, it means they can't kill Dougie
What?
because it means that he's not their enemy. Rodney is incredulous, but Bradley is insistent. After forcing his brother to promise not to kill Dougie if the item in the box is the same as in his dream, Bradley whispers what the item is in Rodney's ear. Rodney finally loses his shit and draws his gun on Dougie, demanding to know if there is, in fact, a cherry pie in the box. Dougie affirms the truth, or is he just repeating what he hears like he always does? Bradley, however, confirms it by checking inside the box himself. Rodney has Bradley frisk Dougie as well, which produces the 8-figure check. Mullins was correct. The brothers are indeed ecstatic to receive their payout. Call me a dumb mark or something, but like for the rest of this episode after this, I couldn't help but be smiling the whole time. Like,
Oh, really?
the Happy Mitchum brothers are like funny as hell to me. Like this whole, like, okay, let me go on to the next scene here. But like so ecstatic in the fact that they really do take Dougie to Santino's or whatever this other fancy restaurant is, where they share a champagne toast and a discussion about the merits of childhood gym sets. I laughed my ass off when like they're reaching up to toast, and Dougie reaches for Rodney's glass instead, and not just once but twice. It made me laugh pretty hard because it was very Dougie, but then them being so gentle, like correcting him. Like instead of Rodney being "fuck off," that's my drink. He's like, Dougie, you wacko, no, get your own.
See, this is
So
the
it's
kind
like-
of here's the problem with this. I mean, it's fine that you like this, and that, but it
Yeah.
would have been hilarious if his son, like they had like some kind of weird discussion about a gym set or like a whatever, just like offhandedly. And then that would
No, I'm sure.
no, but it would have cued Dougie in to the conversation a little bit more. I don't know. I feel like there's always
Here's-
little
okay,
missed,
so here's
there's
my
always
theory on
little
that.
missed moments every once in a while. No, but I'm not saying like it's a theory or like, but I just think there could be little missed moments that are just kind of like little character development and little fun things that would have been a little bit more like I don't
Yeah,
know.
and
It's just
here's
like
let me pitch that. Let me pitch how we get to the gym set here. So we know that like Dougie is starting to recognize things that he appreciates and enjoys and can name them and can use those names. Jade is a good example. I think Sunny Jim would fit into that category. So, he knows his name is Dougie Jones when they refer to him as Dougie Jones. Maybe if they ask him, hey, you got a kid or something? Maybe that jogs. Oh,
sure, Sunny
Sunny
Jim.
Jim.
I get it.
Sunny Jim comes out.
Does he have a gym set? I get that.
Yeah, Jim. Kid like that probably likes to climb on a gym. You have a gym
But we
set?
don't get that. Like
Gym
it's
set.
it's like
We
it's just
don't. Yeah.
it's just like why
But
can't
again,
we
it's
get
like
some of the I don't know. I
because it's
feel
Lynch, dude.
nah, but I feel like this is like the
Lynch doesn't
most
handhold thing
no.
for you. You know that.
He doesn't handhold you, but he's also not like just like I don't know. I don't feel like this is. I feel like this is different. I don't think this is like the same level of that. Like, I don't know. I feel like there's a level of treating your audience really stupid in this. Like sometimes, whereas like I don't know. It's different. It's just different. I feel like it's different.
It is.
So like I just not like super. Well, let's give us something else then. Give us if you don't. Yeah, I don't know. It's hard for me to put my finger on, but I just feel like I feel like it's lazy. I feel there's some lazy writing. It could have been some funner moments. It doesn't have to give us anything, but it could just like kind of. I don't know. I think he's. Here's the problem with Lynch. He's like he always likes to think he's being cute. He does things that he thinks are funny, but I think he only does it. Ultimately, it's probably just the fact that he just does it for his own sake. So he doesn't really give a shit about anyone else. So he's just doing it for him. So let's just talk about a gym set. It's like, sure, okay. But I don't know. I just wish, as a filmmaker, I wish there was a little more thread to tie other things together once in a while. Not that, and those don't even tie to any of the other shit. I'm not talking about the black holes or the black people or the black.
Yeah,
Dusty,
no, Jim set is a very random thing to be throwing in there.
I don't know.
I mean, it's not necessarily as random as the two messed out chicks talking about a penguin, for example. But
sure. And I
think it's pretty typical.
I
mean, it's not like I was rich enough to have a gym set in my backyard either, but I played with them on the park. So I don't know.
Well, we got a used one. My dad, went to this house and dug it out. It's cemented into the ground. He fucking dug it out, brought it home in his truck.
Oh, really?
And he dug holes and he put it back into the ground. And then we had a gym set in our backyard. And we were poor, but we still had it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so,
well,
there's my story about a gym
set. We
set.
lived in apartments.
Oh, yeah, well.
We didn't have houses.
Yeah, sorry, Gabe.
We made do. We had fun. We did live in houses, but they were rentals.
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, well, the one that we had the gym. In the beginning for sure, but this particular one, it was like the first house we lived in that they owned, and then he went out and he would do handyman stuff, and he's like, "Do you want that? I'll take that gym set out if you want. Don't want it." Anyway,
that's pretty cool.
But see, I just think he'd be funny, Coop, to say gym set, and then I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be fun to see how we got there, but
I don't know. We don't get any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, how does Dougie carry on a conversation in a situation like this?
And I would hoping that at some point maybe he would start kind of formulating sentences like a child does, but he's still at the one word thing, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Molasses, syrup, paste, snail.
Who gives a fuck how long a scene is?
Exactly.
Dougie's attention is drawn to the piano player when he switches to a slow, mournful tune. That's right. That's a Badalamenti piece. The name of that one is Heartbreaking. Suddenly, Dougie is approached by the old woman slot addict. Remember her? Mr. Jackpots! Mr. Jackpots! She is so very happy to see him, and she profusely thanks him for changing her life with his financial salvation. It's allowed her to get off the streets and reconnect with her long estranged son.
He's like a good luck charm.
Yeah. She talks them up to the Mitchums, not like they need much convincing on what a great guy Dougie Jones is. And she plants a fond kiss on Dougie's cheek before thanking him again. As she departs, Candy, Mandy, and Sandy arrive, bearing the miracle cherry pie that solved everybody's problems. After Candy explains their tardiness, as only Candy can, the first large bite of pie puts a look of sheer joy on Dougie's face.
I don't think Candy, Mandy, or Sandy, any of those, I don't think they're high. I think they are just fucking space cadets. I think they are just 100% just fucking space cadets. That's the whole. That's just vapid.
Just really, really dumb.
Dumb space cadet, spacey, out there. Yeah, I don't.
Incapable of taking care of themselves.
I love the looks that Belushi gives her when he's trying to talk to her. He's just like, it's just great. Yeah. It's just fucking awesome.
Just a silent encouragement.
It's like the funniest. Like this is best acting. And he's just when he's looking at her, trying to like.
When he with Candy.
Yeah, it's just like. I find that I actually giggled at that kind of shit, but I think she's just straight up just the space cadet,
just dumb. I suppose it's possible. Rodney also compliments the dessert with the phrase "damn good," in particular, raising that flicker of recognition in Dougie's eyes once again. Oh, we're so close,
but we're not.
So close,
we're so far away.
You feel like we're close anyway.
I will quote you. Who cares about how long a scene is?
That's me quoting Lynch. So,
and that's me quoting you quoting
the chain quote. Yep. The chain quoting. The beaming Mitchum brothers ask Candy to provide their guest with a second helping as the credits roll over the piano player's performance.
So I was disappointed.
Ending an episode on a happy note for a change.
So I looked. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm blind. But I looked at the credits and I went back to the credits. They don't credit the piano player.
They don't.
And so I was curious on who it was.
He is mentioned in IMDb. Like they have an uncredited section.
Oh, I was hoping it was something cool.
Give me a second to look him up.
Oh,
he's somebody.
We didn't really say it. Did you mention like when he started playing the other song that Cooper
the one that caught Cooper's attention. Yeah, I point out that it's a Badalamenti tune. I don't really mention that it's definitely a tone changer.
Yeah, like Cooper looks off in the distance, and that's when what's her name is talking to him, but he's not paying attention to her, to the old lady.
No, he's paying attention to the song.
So,
and as far as I'm aware, that's not a song. Like it is a Badalamenti piece,
but I didn't notice
but
it.
It's not a song that's been used in like any other Twin Peaks, as far as I'm aware.
So that's what made me think is like that'd be cool if it was Badalamenti, because I don't know what he looks like.
I thought it was at first, because it was similar. Like he has like a similar look to him, but he's not quite that heavy.
Okay.
But no, the pianist, his name is Robert M. Miles. His professional name is Dr. Smoke, I believe. Or Mr. Smoke. Yeah, he is known for the Count Smokula show.
Oh, boy.
And also the film Trasharella, where he plays Count Smokula.
Wow. What a...
Yeah, so he's a local LA nut. Yeah. Okay, here we go. Performs blues music as well as acting and skit comedy under the names Smokey Miles and Robert Miles. Has appeared in numerous trauma conventions, shows, and movies. Did a couple of songs with Ron Jeremy for Trauma Dance.
Wow.
Good friends with Lloyd Kaufman.
Of course.
Is a big fan of the band Morbid Child and is friends with the band Creator.
That's too bad.
So yeah, I would guess he's an LA guy. Based on these credits anyway.
Badalamenti. But I imagine Badalamenti didn't want to...
Holy shit, he showed up in the most recent season of Arrested Development. What else? Oh, he does a voice for Dynasty Warriors 9.
What console is that on?
Well,
PS2?
no, this credit is 2018, so it's modern
Oh,
era.
modern. PS4 probably. Xbox 3, Xbox Series.
Ooh, look at all of these lame credits. Return to Nukem High.
Oh, that was a great movie. I mean, it's not
Yeah,
great,
he
but
was Count Smokula
it's
in
a
it.
classic.
Return to Nukem High
I mean, they're both. It's all like cult classic bullshit.
from 2013.
Yeah.
He was Count Smokula in it.
I mean, I've never seen it. I just I've seen Nukem
I've never
High.
seen it, but I know it was a classic.
Oh, all those trauma movies are classics. Look, all those kind of silly.
Never
garbage.
seen one.
You never seen any of that kind of garbage?
Mm-mm. That's the outfit that Gunn used to work for, right?
I mean,
James
he
Gunn?
did a couple movies with them.
Yeah. Adventures in Platoons.
I mean, Trauma's like Toxic
Oh, he's a
Avenger and
composer
shit,
for
too.
that. Oh, yeah, it goes way back.
And,
Yeah, no, one of his
what?
earliest
Samurai Police. What is the police?
Samurai Cop. Is that a
No,
Trauma
no,
one?
no. It's police. Oh my god, there's some great of that Lloyd Kaufman crap. Anyway, Kabuki Policeman or
Kabuki Policeman.
Kabuki. Yeah. Oh, what is it? Oh my god, have you never seen this movie, Gabe?
Can't say that I have. Kabuki Policeman.
No, it's Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Oh my god, you've never seen Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD? Oh my god. Such a crazy fucking stupid movie, but it's like the same lineage as like Toxic Avenger. In fact, he's in one of the Toxic Avengers because they start teaming up together. But yeah, he introduces himself. Oh yes, I'm Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD. Anyway, he's a normal dude, and then he turns into this Kabuki Man and he fights, and it's really goofy as fuck. Man, you're talking about some of the greatest cult. How do you love wrestling and not Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD?
That's one of the ones I missed, I guess.
You're probably not going to find it in 4K. You'd be
I don't know.
You'd be lucky to find it
no.
in HD. I bet.
I mean, I saw like a lot of the subversive shit back in the day. Like I knew about Peter Jackson long before his Hollywood career. I saw Meet the Feebles and
Oh yeah, I've seen Meet the Feebles and
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste,
Yeah.
Dead Alive, yeah.
So yeah, I'm no stranger to the cult films. But Sergeant Kabuki is not one of them.
That's not Peter Jackson. Like he's like the Hollywood of cult films. Like Sergeant Kabuki Man NYPD is like Super Ninja. Like
I won't lie that
if I was
most
a
of my
grown up
education
man,
in that is like thanks to Mystery Science Theater. That's a lot of where my knowledge of that sort of stuff comes from.
yeah, but they take even good movies and talk shit about them. I mean, not good movies, but like C tier kind of.
Like what? Like Mitchell?
I don't know.
I don't think that qualifies as a good movie.
Anyway,
I think it would kind of defeat the purpose of them, of the whole show, if they did.
Maybe they have.
movies.
Maybe you should see if they have a Kabuki Man one. Anyway,
They might have a riff tracks on it. I don't know.
not you. All right.
Well, yeah, that's our recap. I did a little bit of notes on the behind-the-scenes footage for this episode. Let me go grab those.
I like how you never put your notes on the table. You always put them by the. You have to go. Let me go grab my notes.
Yeah, that's because I finished writing on the couch like a half hour before we go on air. So yeah, Bloody Miriam. Once again, Lynch is the one doing final touches on the makeup. This scene was filmed on the same day as when Richard attacks her. That was on September 23rd, 2015. We do a lot of filming on the lot of Sycamore, the lot on Sycamore.
Right.
There's a comment about how when they're setting up the cameras, Lynch points out, we don't want to see the nice house back there. So, like, there's some clear blocking going on there to make the neighborhood look worse than it is.
I did notice that the main kid, the older kid, gets credited as kid playing catch, and it's Travis Frost.
Oh, I didn't notice that one.
When I was going back through,
I'm not surprised by
trying
it.
to find Piano Guy. Hoping the
Trying to find
piano guy was someone important.
I noticed that like even on the uncredited stuff, you can't find who played Slot Lady's son.
But I found it funny that the other two kids aren't credited. But they didn't speak either.
They didn't get paid. Yeah,
they didn't have speaking roles.
That's the thing.
That's probably it. So
Neither
like
did
older kid.
Neither did.
Right.
Yeah, you have to have a speaking role
The
to make
piano
it into the
guy
credits.
probably wasn't even playing
And
piano.
he wasn't.
He wasn't, obviously, but I mean,
yeah, he can, but he wasn't playing those songs. But yeah, like also the Slot Lady's son doesn't speak, doesn't show up in the credits.
Gotta
And
be
then,
in
like,
the
the-
Screen
the-
Actors Guild for Lynch to give a shit.
And yeah, the only one of the woodsmen that ever made the credits was the one who said "Got a light." So
And
yeah,
that's probably only
there's a message
because
to that.
Screen Actors Guild says you have to get credited. That's probably in their
If you
contract
speak.
if you speak.
Yeah,
So like these other people, it's like, fuck it, I don't have to. But I would still, usually in a cast thing, you still put all your cast. That just seems kind of mean. Like, come on,
A little
Lynch,
bit, yeah.
Why you gotta be so mean? Why you gotta be so mean to me? Anyway,
a couple other notes about the sycamore scene. Apparently, there was a line at some point cut where Gordon says to Albert, "Albert, I'm disappearing," or maybe he was just going to say that as the cue for Albert to grab him as direction. But he mentions, and then I'll say, "Albert, I'm disappearing," and then you grab me. So I don't know if they filmed him saying that word or not, or saying that line or not. But and then one last note from that scene is that they actually used a live model for the corpse in that one. This was not a dummy like they had in the bed or they had in the morgue. This was an actual person lying naked out in the field. Then had her head digitally erased in post.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I thought that was curious little tidbit.
Weird.
We filmed the Mitchum breakfast. The bit where Bradley refuses to eat his cereal was not originally in the script. That was something they came up with in rehearsals.
Of course.
It was Lynch's idea, not Belushi's. Then in February, they filmed the meeting in the desert. Nothing really to note about that. So what I do note from watching this is like Belushi seems to require the most coaching from Lynch as to get what he wants out of him. But there's never any antagonism as a result of that. Like every time they're wrapping the take, Lynch is always like, "You guys are great, 1,000%. I do want to do one more just for the frosting on the cake." That's something you hear him say a lot. One more for the frosting. Oh,
Yeah, I didn't really have any any issues with Belushi in this episode. He seemed pretty well
No.
dialed in, and
yeah, but I do like it. It feels like the least intuitive for him, whereas like Kyle MacLachlan always picks up right away on what Lynch wants. Like they have a little bit of a shorthand, probably just because they've worked together so frequently over the years and for so long. But yeah,
he's
this
not really in
it's
it
a
much episode. He's like kind of this is not a
no, not a lot. Yeah, limited Dougie this week, and I don't think we get any Mr. C at all, do we?
no.
No Mr. C. So yeah, like you can tell Belushi is just a little off kilter, and this is a very, very different style of filmmaking than he's used to. But you can also tell in the footage that he's having a lot of fun and that he's enjoying himself and that he loves working with Lynch. So
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah, it's fun to like. He's really the only one that's like clowning for the cameras. Like Lynch says something complimentary at one point, and then Belushi like goes right into the frame and goes, "Say that again. Make sure they got that." But like he's the only person you see like speak directly to the documentary cameras at any point during these.
He's also of the group,
So-
though. I would say the only kind of more comedian-centered actor.
Right. Yeah. You feel like he's used to a more a set where like there's a lot more
Goofy,
banter.
and that's kind
Yeah,
of the people he grew up around, or came up with those
right,
kind of people. Dan Aykroyd,
right.
his brother,
Like
all the
yeah, there. It does feel like there's like an element of seriousness on a Lynch set, but not in like an oppressive
right.
dark cloud sort of way. It just sounds
I
like
would also
hey,
seem. I
we're
would
here
also.
to get it done.
I would say on this particular production, it's probably a lot less so. Like whereas maybe on a film where he has a tighter budget, a time constraint where he has to kind of be more intense. I feel like this is really just him having a lot more fun than anything. Like especially,
Yeah,
I feel like
yeah.
this might be my biggest criticism. The way because of how long it is and how kind of messy it is, but it just seems like it's just Lynch playing very fast and loose. Like he has ideas, he's shooting them,
Mm-hmm.
whether they work or not. I don't think he's really that concerned about it. I think he's just, we'll fix it in post. Maybe they do fix it in post, maybe they don't. I don't know if there was ever really an interview of his real kind of like him kind of, because he just never really deconstructed anything. He's never really had any kind of interview where he talks about anything like that. But of everything,
Sometimes you can get Frost to do it.
but of anything,
Frost or Dunham every now and again.
but I think of anything,
Dunham has ideas,
I would
but-
never want Lynch to. Of all the films I like of Lynch, I would never want him to talk about those. But this particular project, I would like him to talk about it because I feel like, while
it's less
partially
concise, it meanders.
while partially it is Lynch, partially it is just no fucks given. Who give just being maybe lazy, maybe just let's just get it, or let's just have some fun and like I feel like there's a level of it's Lynch, but then it's also just a bunch of people fucking around. Also, like because
kind of like an Adam Sandler movie.
Here's the thing: if you were to take this whole episodic thing and title it something else and give everyone else different names, and it was directed by someone else, or said it was directed by someone else. I think if you put it out there in the world, people would not respond to it the same. I think Lynch's
without
name,
the clout, it doesn't mean.
I think
much,
it definitely. See, and I feel like that's kind of a weird thing in itself, and I think that's just because of the stature we have given him as an artist, that we're willing to forgive a lot of things, and that's what this episode kind of pulled out of my head. Like, man, I've done a lot of this type of stuff, but no one likes my shit. They just think it's tedious and boring or stupid. It's like, that's how I feel about this.
I struggled with that thought a lot when I was writing music. When I would write stuff that I thought was really complex and beautiful and melodic, and then somebody would tell me that oh fuck, I'm in love with the Coco is like the best song that's ever been written. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Mm.
Like, how can I trust the opinion of someone like that? So, yeah, I know where you're coming from. Sometimes it feels like something that's really, really basic and just doesn't get a lot of effort put into it. Somehow, reaches the masses, and
but I've done that simplistic thing, and people look at me. And
a lot of people would argue about
Jim
Morrison being the same way.
Yeah, well, maybe.
So many people think of Jim Morrison as a genius, and was he really, or
I don't really
was he just in the right place at the right time?
I think there are a lot of messy musicians that just kind of got lucky sometimes.
Oh no, the musicians are tight.
No, not all of them.
Morrison was messy as fuck.
Keyboardist wasn't that tight.
I disagree.
I mean, I've never cared.
You're just listening to the versions that Kyle MacLachlan recorded.
What? I only listened to the Doors soundtrack that Val Kilmer, only from the Oliver Stone.
I saw footage of some point of when Kyle MacLachlan was doing press for the Doors. He was on some talk show in Europe, and he had learned keyboard well enough to play the solo from Light My Fire. So he played it on stage with the live band that they had at the talk show, and he was clearly not a professional. This was something he'd learned from memorization, and his timing was a little off here and there. I like some of their stuff, yeah.
I just don't really get it, I guess. Which is weird because I listen to a lot of weird shit, but I don't know. Something about that music, it just doesn't vibe with me.
Yeah, the one I never I like most classic rock, the one I really can't get into is The Who.
Oh, I can't get into that either, dude. I
Yeah,
actually really tried.
I try really hard because I know how amazing John Entwistle is. I know how amazing Keith Moon is. Pete Townsend, Roger Daltrey, and the band is really all about those two. So, yeah, I mean, there's a couple
Yeah, I went
that I can
through.
appreciate.
I went through there. I did a whole run. Like, I think it was during COVID. I was just listening to like albums, like just going through them all and listening. Working, I would be working and like kind of go through them like different. So I would pick a band and like go through all their albums and like the Who I went through and just like I like some of their hit-ish music, but like that whole like Pinball Wizard like opera thing is
Oh yeah,
just like what a pile of shit, dude. Like I do not like why is this considered this cool like what a awful thing. I like whew.
boy, the movie.
I've never
The
seen
movie is something else, dude. Oh my god. You know who plays the Pinball Wizard song in the movie? Who plays the character of the Pinball Wizard? It's Elton John.
Of course. See, I should see that.
So he does the whole riff on the piano.
Oh, I should see that. Because I like watching that shit, even though I don't really care for it. But it's like watching the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club movie. It's like, what a wild thing to do. And that is such a fucking...
I'd like to see Head at some point. I never did get to see that. The Monkees movie, the one that Jack Nicholson produced.
No, I've never seen that. I mean, obviously, I've seen The Wall.
That one I'd like to check out.
You know, it's just fun to watch those things. And the fact that they used to make those things, they don't really do that shit anymore. Anyway.
Nobody's willing to pay for that.
I know, right? It's just like a exorbitant...
Got to find something to finance that.
Right. Anyway. That all pertains to this in some way, guys.
In some
Trust
way. Or
we had to pay for this.
It might just be us rambling
somehow.
On that note, I think we'll wrap things up for the evening. That's part 11. We hope you join us next week for part 12, the title of which is Let's Rock.
Hey, we got a couple viewers this night.
Did we really? Who's tuning in?
No one's talking to us, but like we got a couple
Everybody's
viewers.
talking, but no one says a word.
Yeah. Well, thank you to viewers who's just hanging out. We very rarely get live viewers anymore.
Huh.
Russian
I'm not
bots
gonna say much about
ICE coming to deport me.
Right, yeah. They heard you say, Hawaii.
That's like a Native American kind of.
Well, I'm not sure what to say about next week other than expect another Dougie Light, Mr. C Light episode next week. That's all I can really say about that. They're light on synopses on these websites.
Oh, is that the Norma John Wick episode?
No.
Juan Wick. Juan Wick. I'm gonna go with Juan.
Boy, yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happens next week. I can't glean much from the quotes or.
Oh, he doesn't remember.
I'm honestly pretty lost as how we get from here to like I remember a lot of the last 2 episodes of The Return, but how we get from here to there's big chunks that I'm missing.
All right, sounds fun.
So, yeah, it'll be a learning experience. It'll be something I enjoy. I see a picture here that spoils one thing. An appearance of a character that Ian is probably eagerly awaiting to see. But we'll get there next week, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific time. We hope you'll join us then. And in the meantime, let a smile be your umbrella. Ladies and gentlemen, and everyone in between, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great night.
Night. And we just bob our heads to the music.
Which I can't actually hear because we're not that technologically advanced.
Well, it would be delayed, so.
And then we'd be nodding our heads out of sync more so than we already are. I try and follow you.